Benson Jervis. The chalice lighting words come to us from Pat Uribe Lichte. We face a challenge to democracy, a challenge that calls us to hope in moments of despair, a challenge that asks us to persist in the faith that we can and must make a difference. May our flaming chalice recommit us to truth in our words and our actions, that we may live as we believe people should live. Please join me with our song response.
Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not the circle, make it wider still, till it includes embraces all of you.
Hello and welcome to this House of Hope. My name is Colleen Beery and I use she, her pronouns. I love this church because it and supports in the Welcome Center, where we can give you a little goodie bag, get you signed up for our weekly email newsletter, and answer any questions you may have. After the service, please stick around for fellowship hour. Have some coffee. We'd love to get to know you. Today, you also have the opportunity to learn more about Live Oak. After the service, there will be an exploring membership class from 12:15 to 1:30 in the library, and a light lunch will be provided. This community has events happening all through the week. I encourage you to go to our website at liveoakuu.org and click on what's happening every Sunday night to fill out your schedule for the week to come. Something you might be interested in this week is the monthly Church Ladies Lunch. It happens on the second Monday of the month, which is tomorrow. All who identify as women, ages 16 and over, are welcome at this informal lunch at La Madeleine Restaurant on Lakeline. If you need more information, please contact Margaret Sheehan. I don't know if she's here this morning. Oh, no. Or you can contact her through Breeze.
Today is a special day in the life of our congregation. We are being transformed as we welcome new members who are going to bring new ideas, new desires, new energies, and new opportunities to us. And we are going to share our ideas, desires, energies, and projects with them. Our covenant securely grounds us, but it also resonates with new life. As George Kimmel Beach put it, people don't join a covenanted community, rather they constitute it. There is no it without them, and each time new folks join, the whole is literally reconstituted.
My name is Amy Starnes, and I'm a member of the membership team here at Live Oak. Each of the following people has completed all of the necessary requirements to become a member of Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church. It is with joy that I invite up on the chancel Kate Graham, Molly Bell, and Cassandra Maynor.
Today, the identity of all of our members, old and new, is changing. This congregation gets a new identity because you change us, and we are now your church. As you change because you now add a member of Live Oak to who you are. Simply put, with these promises we make to each other, you become ours and we become yours. Will the members of our congregation please rise in body or in spirit and join me in our words of commitment? We, the members of Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church, welcome you into membership. We promise to walk along with you in your spiritual journey, to work together with you to strengthen this liberal religious community, and to make our vision for a just and peaceful world come alive. And new members, would you say your words? We pledge Let us welcome these new members into our fold. Let us give them the best of our tradition, who we are and who we are today. But let us also open up ourselves to the ways in which they are going to teach and transform us and share in the construction of the community that together we are becoming. Neither churches nor their members are perfect, and if you hang around here long enough, one of two things, and possibly both, are going to happen. Eventually, the church may disappoint you, or you may disappoint the church. A time may come when we fail to act or respond to something that you are sure we should have. A time may come when you can't do something that the church asks of you. And it's not that what happened isn't important. It is. But what is most important is what happens next. So long as we live in covenanted community, seeking right relationship, our commitment to each other will be strengthened and we will grow as individuals and as a healthy community.
We have a gift bag for each family, which I will deliver now. Inside your gift bag, you will find a small chalice. At Live Oak, it is important that what happens here does not stay here. We hope that you will find ways to keep the chalice burning bright in your home and in your heart. After the service today, we also will have in the fellowship hall a special table and book signing for you all to sign the book and meet the congregants, and everyone can meet you all as well. Please exit the stage to your right, and the rest of us will give heartfelt applause.
Today's offering reading is from A Tangible Commitment by Elizabeth Murphy. Our church leaders, both volunteers and staff members, work diligently throughout the year to be careful and attentive stewards of the congregation and of its funds. Countless meetings, reports, documents, and budgets are necessary to maintain the health of an organization, especially one like ours that has endured for many years. We depend on our tools and on our teams to track where every dollar goes, and they do just that. But the gifts you make during your weekly offering or through your annual pledge represent far more than lines on a spreadsheet. Your contributions are a tangible commitment to the mission and vision of this church. Each time you give, you renew this commitment. And as a result, your support is entwined with all that we believe and all that we do here together. This is its own special gift. And now an offering will be taken to sustain the work of this church.
that your neighbor also agrees with, that you'll hook arms gently. You may want to move around the congregation, the sanctuary, but we're going to find connections between each other. So an example would be, Arden, will you help me? I'm going to stand here and I'm going to say, all my friends and neighbors that like Star Wars. And if you like Star Wars, you're going to hook arms gently. Now, if you're not really into hooking arms, that's okay. You can give someone a smile, a wink, or just give them a wave. Are you ready? So I encourage you, you can stand, you can sit. And I encourage our grown-ups to help our kids to engage in this. So, are you ready? Are you guys ready? All right, well, let's see. All my friends and neighbors who like being part of a team or a group. And you can walk around, find people. You might not have to go anywhere. All my friends and neighbors who have built something together, a meal, a craft, or a plan. All my friends and neighbors who have ever helped someone who was sad. And look around you. There might be people around you, behind you. How many connections can you make? All my friends and neighbors who have ever tried something new or brave. All my friends and neighbors who have ever stubbed a toe. All my friends and neighbors who have ever said thank you or I'm sorry. Are you feeling connected? All my friends and neighbors who believe one small action can make a huge difference. Yeah. Look around us. Arms connected, linked, smiles shared, connections made. Look at this chain that we've created. A chain of promise, a chain of connection. Alone, we can feel small. But in community and in connection, we are never alone, and we are stronger than ever. And with this, our game is played. Thank you for participating.
That was fun. Thank you, Chris. Now that you've sat down, I'm going to ask you to rise for our theme hymn, number 107. Now we sing, We of Brave of Old. The following reading is an excerpt from Civil Disobedience, Its Occasions and Limits by James Luther Adams. In authentic civil disobedience, the civil disobedient has not lost confidence in the integrity of his society, nor do they hold the government to be entirely lacking in ethical character. For this reason, they aim to disobey within a legal framework in order to improve a specific law or policy. With confidence in the integrity of their society and its government, they invite legal agencies to deal with them, even to punish them, and they expect them to deal with them fairly. Complete loss of confidence in the society would seem to call for systemic disobedience from morally conscientious people. That is, it would call for rebellion and not for civil disobedience. Judge Wyzanski says in recommending delayed civil disobedience, each of us may bide their time until they're personally faced with an order requiring them as an individual to do a wrongful act. Here again, the nature and purpose of civil disobedience are overlooked. The authentic civil disobedient is not motivated merely by the desire to escape personal complicity in the performing of wrongful acts. They are concerned to make a public protest and to bring about the change of a law or policy. They are not acting merely for the sake of keeping their conscience clean. They intend to act as a citizen, fulfilling the responsibilities of conscientious citizenship.
So this year in worship and in our faith development classes, our overarching theme is community and the different elements of community. And this month, November, the element of community that we are focusing on is citizenship, appropriate for November, right? What does citizenship mean to you? There's a lot of talk right now about citizenship. I think often people are talking about, what are the rights of being a citizen? What are the responsibilities of being a citizen? I mean, participating. There are definitely the legal things that we know of, right? Like getting your driver's license, getting a hunting and fishing license, paying your taxes, serving on a jury. But there's also the things that I think many of us would consider to be, even though there's no legal consequence, to have some responsibility, things like not littering, right? Or what are some other things that, voting, right? Voting. Hopefully being an informed voter. But today what I'm hoping we can really get into is to use the words of James Luther Adams. Oops, looks like we are having some trouble with the remote today. But today what I want us to focus on is, what does it mean, there we go, what does conscious citizenship mean to you? I think I'm going to have to, yeah. Okay, so first we're going to go into, yes, I'll just signal to y'all today. So first we are going to go back into the past and to another country. So specifically, Norway, 1940. Norway had hoped that it could escape war by maintaining their neutrality. But in April of 1940, the German Nazi forces came in. And Norway was not prepared for this. They had a little bit of armed resistance, but by that June, they had to surrender. The armed resistance did give them enough time that the king and his government were able to escape, aided by the British military, and they relocated to London and set up a government in exile. So I want to tell you a little bit about Vidkun Quisling. So Vidkun, he was not German, he was Norwegian, and he was kind of a mediocre, failed politician. In the lead up to 1940, he had attempted to start his own political party. It was far right and pro-fascist, and it didn't really get anywhere. Like in their elections, they didn't, this party never got more than 1.6% of the vote. But nevertheless, he tried to take advantage of the chaos, and so when Germany came in, he attempted a coup. He attempted to grab sort of the power. This was before the king had stepped away. But he was deeply unpopular, and so both with his own fellow Norwegians and with the Nazis, that didn't quite happen yet. But he still had a relationship with the Germans. In fact, before the Nazi troops came into Norway, he had met with Hitler, and it is believed that he helped Germany to do this by notifying them of some of the weaknesses in his own country. So the Nazis move in. Of course, they are very unpopular. And at first, the Norwegians are showing their resistance by wearing like a little Swedish flag pin, or some had a pin that had like a picture of the king on it. And the Nazis, when they saw that, they declared that illegal, and it was grounds for arrest. And so starting in the universities, as happens so often, starting in the university in Oslo, the college students there began wearing a paper clip on their collar. And it was a symbol of resistance because what they said was what it was symbolizing is we Norwegians are all bound together in the same way a paper clip binds papers together. So it started with them, and then from there it went to the public school teachers in Norway. They began wearing that as a symbol of resistance. And then the students began wearing it, the primary, secondary students. From there it moved on to all of the Norwegians, the parents, and just the citizens. Because this was before social media, and so it was subtle. The Nazis didn't realize it at first, but when you were out and about trying to live through this particular time period, you would look and you would see this on the other person's collar. At a certain point, the Nazis realized what was happening. This became more public, and there are articles, you can find articles going around the world talking about all these Norwegians wearing the paper clips on their collars. Once the Nazis realized it, though, they took out big ads in the paper notifying everyone that, I mean, I don't read Norwegian. What language do they speak? Norwegian? But I did run it through Google Translator, and what it is saying is, you will be arrested if you are wearing a paper clip on your clothing. So that's how that became a symbol. So even after they had declared that illegal, people were still finding many different ways to resist. And the kids were often very involved. There were little things that they would do, like they would steal chemicals from their school labs, little acids, put them in water pistols, and shoot the Nazis' uniforms where it was too light so they couldn't feel it when it was happening, but they'd, go back home and, oh, all of a sudden their jacket has a hole in it. So there were little, and there was also, of course, more sophisticated resistance going on. Victor Quisling in 1942 was installed by the Nazis as a puppet leader. And a puppet leader is kind of just like it sounds. It means someone else is pulling the strings. And so Quisling was doing whatever it was that the Nazis told him to do. And he was pro-fascist. He was absolutely into all of this. And so he, with the Nazis' backing, they decided to focus on the schools. Because this is what dictators or wannabe dictators always try to do. Because the ultimate way of controlling people is controlling what you think, what you believe. So they tried to do that. And so they went to the teachers. They had all of this Nazi propaganda, and they had the expectation that the teachers would begin teaching that. Quisling, to aid in that, created a teachers' union that was explicitly pro-fascist, pro-German, and the teachers were told that they had to join it. 90% refused to. This was a big thing. You're fighting against the Nazis, but when you do it in such numbers, the other side becomes much less powerful. Not that they didn't still try. And so one of the things that they did was they first, announced that if you were not going to join this teachers' union, that there would be consequences to it, that you would be arrested, that you would be hurt. Nevertheless, the teachers responded with their own statement, and 90% of them signing it, saying, "I will be faithful to my calling as a teacher and to my conscience." And the full statement, you can find it online. It's called the Statement of Norwegian Teachers. It is beautiful. Sadly, it is very relevant. Here's one of the things that they said in their letter. "Moreover, the teacher's duty is not only to give knowledge. he must also teach the children to have faith in and to earnestly desire that which is true and just. He therefore cannot, without betraying his calling, teach anything against his conscience. He who does so sins both against the pupils he is supposed to lead and against himself. We will not call upon our children to do anything which we regard as wrong, nor teach them anything not conforming to the truth. The Nazis were still demanding that these teachers conform and begin teaching what they called New World Order. And so they decided they couldn't, they tried. Their initial thing, Quisling's initial thing, was to shut down the schools. And as those of us who survived having children at home during the pandemic can say, when all of a sudden you're trying to go about your life and your kids are home at school, even apart from any ethical issues, it makes life really difficult. And so they began just pouring letters to the government saying this is not workable. Then what Quisling decided to do was to take 10% of those dissenting teachers and make an example of them. And they were arrested. And they were taken to a concentration camp in the Arctic, where they were made to do hard labor. They were starving. If they did not do what they were supposed to do, they had to do things like somehow crawl through the snow with their hands behind their back. Some of a small handful, because you also had elderly teachers that they took, did have to capitulate. But the vast majority stayed firm even through all of this, even through the physical and the psychological torture. And they were not, unlike some things that happened in Germany, the Nazis were not trying to hide this at all, because again, they wanted to make an example of them. And so this was something that all of the Norwegians knew was happening. And so then the Norwegians would find out where were the trains going to be passing through that were going to be taking the teachers. And they couldn't do anything to stop them, but they would show up and they would be there with food and with songs to let those teachers know that they were bearing witness to what was happening. And once again, it wound up being a failure to the Nazis. And before the end of the year, they released the teachers so that they could go back to the schools and to teaching. The war ended for them in 1945. And Victor Quisling, they put him on trial right there in Norway, charged with many different crimes, but one of the best, one of the biggest ones being what he was doing to their country. And the verdict was firing squad. And the word Quisling, has anyone heard Quisling used as a word? I don't think it's that common. Oh, I think we should bring this one back. Quisling now is a synonym for traitor or collaborationist. Not saying where you might use that, but I just find it a kind of a helpful little word. Let's talk about symbols. So first of all, is there anyone here who during the Vietnam War wore a black armband? Anyone do that? That was a pretty common thing in schools. I know my brothers were too young to be drafted, but they wore them. And here in the U.S. and the public schools, many of them tried to prohibit that. And so it actually went to the Supreme Court. And in 1969, in Tinker versus Des Moines ISD, it was said, no, wearable symbols such as black armbands are free speech. And just because a student has walked into a public school, that does not mean that they are giving up their rights as citizens. And symbols nowadays, wearable symbols, this is complex and this is complicated. Right after the 2016 election, remember, like I know it was 50 years ago. Feels like that. But let me jog your memory. I don't know if you remember this thing. What happened immediately after the election, before Trump even took office, is Muslim women started being attacked out in public. Any of y'all remember some of this? It was happening like in grocery stores, things like that. And so a movement started for people to wear a safety pin to indicate you are safe with me. There was a lot of enthusiasm at first, and then came a lot of pushback from other progressives, especially black women, saying, what do you actually mean by that? Because if you are wearing that to tell someone else, I'm a safe person, so do you mean simply that you're not going to attack me? Or do you mean that if someone else is coming at me, you will put your body between them and me? And largely this movement died out because it was felt to be performative and not something that another person could rely on. In a similar way, after last November, after that election, there was a burgeoning movement to wear blue bracelets. Anyone remember that? And it was, I mean, like this one was really clear. It was to indicate, I voted for the nice black lady, right? I didn't vote for this. Once again, there were critiques that this was performative, and that it was trying to send a message to other people, basically to say, you should feel okay around me. So I absolutely understand the pushback, but I also think that we should not throw the baby out with the bathwater and discount the idea of wearable symbols in all cases. I'm torn on this. I've done a lot of thinking about this. Frankly, I would have liked being able to go to the grocery store and see someone with a blue bracelet. It would have made me feel a little bit better, but that's also centering me. So, I do have paper clips today. But I am not trying to start a paperclip collar movement. For me, what is more important is what does it do for me? If you have one, what does it do for you? And so I'm not even sure that wearing it is as important as what I plan to do, which is to put it by my keys every morning so that I grab it. Maybe I'll put it on my collar, maybe I'll stick it in my pocket. But it's going to be a moment of consciousness for me, of thinking, if I am put in certain situations today, how will I act? James Luther Adams, you heard the reading from him before. He was actually in Germany at the lead up to the Holocaust, and in fact had a couple of near misses, but he did make it back to the United States alive. He is a Unitarian, or was a Unitarian Universalist theologian, probably our most influential one of the 20th century. And he wrote this: I pressed upon myself the question, if fascism should arise in the States, what in your past performance would constitute a pattern or framework of resistance? I could give only a feeble answer to the question. My principal political activities had been the reading of the newspaper and voting. I had preached sermons on the Depression or in defense of strikers. Occasionally, I uttered protest against censorship in Boston, but I had no adequate conception of citizen participation. We never know. Now, first of all, let me say this. We've talked before about how it's kind of hard right now to keep a tight grip on reality, because on one hand, I absolutely agree with the people who say we are not in a situation of what will happen if fascism comes to our country. It's already here. And the other part of the reality is that it is not at a point where you cannot wear a particular pin. I have it, if I wear my rainbow flag pin, I am not going to be put in jail for that. You can wear paper clips or whatever you want. You can wear something that says Democratic Socialist on it. We have to hold both parts of that reality together. And we never know when we get up in the morning what is going to happen that day, and if that is going to be the day where our values are going to be called into action. And so having something every morning that makes me think about that. What are you going to do if you go out to lunch today at your favorite place? You know some of the waiters and all, and as you're sitting there eating your meal, a bunch of people in masks, but with no badges, unmarked cars, come storming into the restaurant and begin grabbing all of the people who are working in the back and dragging them away. What will you do? What will you do this evening when you go home and then you're just watching TV, whatever it is, holiday movie or something like that, and all of a sudden you hear something outside and you go and you look out your front window and you see your neighbors and their children, and they're all being taken away in unmarked cars. What will you do? So I'm going to have a paperclip. I don't know what you would do, and I'm not going to say. I will say that when I think about those teachers in Norway, I do think it's important for us it's really easy, I think, for us to say, yes, all of our teachers should do that, or all of our politicians should do that. What are you going to do? What does conscientious citizenship mean to you? And how will you show up? As Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, "Prayer cannot bring water to parched fields or mend a broken bridge or rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will." I would add that this is where we give words to the yearnings of our hearts. In that spirit, let us pray. These are the words of my colleague, Reverend Aaron Payson. When the last campaign ad has aired, when polling stations are closed and the count has been certified, when pundits and politicians have turned in for the night and pollsters and political operatives are turning their thoughts to the next big race, the work of citizenship remains. To care more for the marginalized than for profit margins. To be mindful that quality education is far less expensive than mass incarceration. To insist that military intervention is a last resort, not the preemptive prerogative of the powerful. In short, to know that our true wealth is the welfare of all beings and the planet that we all call home. Being in a community, we share our lives with each other, including the significant milestones, joys, and sorrows. And today we have some of those to share. Crystal shares, celebrating Lee's 40th birthday this week. Erica Konopka shares, the Konopka family is excited to meet their newest family member scheduled to arrive on Tuesday. So after the service, you can stop asking her and ask her something more interesting. That's my editorial comment. She would never say anything like that. Logan shares, the baby is coming in 2 days. Mary shares, my cousin Brandon had a stroke, waiting on surgery to remove a blood clot. Mary Hinkstebeck shares, a friend from Augusta UU died yesterday. He was committed to social justice and a wonderful lay leader. And Keziah Crawford shares, me and Sam got to host family over at our house for the first time. French onion soup and Christmas music was just what was needed for a touch of joy in this uncertain world. Amen. May we bear witness with the concerns both expressed and silent in our hearts. Amen and blessed be. Please join me in singing. Will guide us. Known. May you be guided by love, strengthened by courage, and steadfast in living out your deepest held values.
Song, and remain standing for the chalice extinguishing. please remain standing. Benson's going to come out and extinguish our chalice. Let's say these words to each other as we extinguish our chalice. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Go ahead, sit down. It's been a gift to be together today. Thank you to today's home team. HOME stands for Hospitality and Membership, who provided hospitality and worship and tech leadership. Chris, Wes, Laura, Nancy, Joel, Mike Schultz, Dory, Thomas, and Benson. Let's continue that hospitality by spending the next 5 minutes talking with someone that you don't know very well. Members, be sure to introduce yourself to any of the first-time visitors we have. They're the ones with the handwritten name tags. Show them where the visitors table is and the coffee is. And may we all know the blessings of fellowship.